Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some recommendations for some under-the-radar action movies of the past decade or so, ones that kind of fall under that 2-hour mark. So I'm really looking forward to this because there's some great picks and movies that have come out that just kind of flew under the radar, were popular enough, but maybe not everyone had a chance to check them out and see them, so want to share them here. So stick around through this intro and we'll get started. Welcome once again, my name is Austin and this channel is all about helping you to dig deeper and go further to better understand faith and film and everything that's in between. If that sounds exciting to you, make sure you click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any future content. As I just mentioned, I want to share some recommendations and picks here for some under-the-radar action movies that I think are really good and definitely worth your time for checking out. This list is kind of inspired by the new movie coming out that came out on Hulu not too long ago called Prey, which is one of the kind of prequel sequels for the Predator franchise. So first pick on that list of the 5 is going to be that movie Prey. From the initial announcement and then the first couple trailers or so that came out, I was really excited for this next entry in the franchise, just to kind of go like a back to basics look at the franchise and do something that was more different and more unique. After seeing this movie, I thought they did a great job. They really did a good job with the tone, dealing with all the lore of it all, really getting back to the simplicity that we kind of saw in the first Predator movie. I thought they did a really good job with that. In a back to basics movie, this really embraced what made the original one so great. Visually, it might be the best looking one in the series. There is a just beautiful, gorgeous establishing shots of different landscapes and scenery and scenes, whether it's a forest or a field or the rolling hills, all that kind of stuff is beautiful to look at. It really just sets the tone. The vastness and the isolation of this region is really well established through these shots, and I thought visually just all around, not only in these shots but through the practicality of the creature with the Predator character, and then also the just tangibility of the sets with the natives, that kind of stuff was really well done as well. Amber Midthunder is great in the lead role. It's a subtle but very powerful performance, I think. She's not a highly talkative character necessarily, but she does a great job just conveying the emotion and her passion and drive throughout the movie as we kind of follow her story and her arc, all that kind of stuff. Just really good all around. And besides that, the action's great. Really good stunt work on this one. Again, it feels very tangible and hands-on, like they went down, got in, and really filmed this stuff rather than just doing it on like a soundstage somewhere. It's a really refreshing entry in the series, and like I said, one that inspired me to want to do this list. Running in at only 90 or so minutes long, they pack a lot into that low runtime with a lot of great stuff. Next, we have the movie Dredd. This is another fantastic action movie that I think. It's back from 2012, so definitely the oldest movie on this list looking back over the past 10 years or so, but this does a fantastic job of establishing this really cool, gritty cyberpunk world. Karl Urban, great performance as Judge Dredd. He acts so much with the bottom half of his face wearing the Dredd helmet all throughout this film, never taking it off. So he does a great job with his performance. There's really creative, fun, innovative action all throughout. It's a simple premise of just cops going into this building, needing to get to the crime lord at the top and having to fight their way up there. Similar in some ways to The Raid, the first one that is. And so I kind of call it the American sci-fi Raid, but still nonetheless, it definitely sets itself apart in its own right and does a really good job of just communicating a simple story, really fun, entertaining action, and a really cool world to explore. Something that I wish we could have gotten some follow-ups and sequels to, but it's okay. We at least still got this one to enjoy. Next, we have a very recent movie, and that is Nobody. This is one that when I first saw a trailer for it, I was hesitant, thinking it looked kind of like a John Wick copycat, but then once you see this movie and check it out, which, by the way, check out the 4K for sure, because it looks and sounds great, and I don't even have the best of setups, but besides the point, this movie does a really good job of, in some ways, following the in some ways following the premise, I guess you could say, of a John Wick type movie, where it's like a revenge thriller, but setting itself apart with Bob Odenkirk. Obviously, he does a lot of his own stunts, but he has such a different style when it comes to fighting, and is a very different background, but it really puts you along for this awesome thrill ride all throughout. The action is gritty and brutal. As much as like the John Wick movies are highly stylized, though they are gritty and dark, this takes it to a different level for sure. It's much more grounded in reality. It's really entertaining to watch. Bob Odenkirk gives a great performance. I've heard we're going to be getting some follow-ups to this one as well, so I'm looking forward to that. But this is another great one that came out last year, and it was popular enough. Like I said, some of the movies on here were popular enough, but definitely deserves more attention for what it did. Next, we have a movie that I have mentioned before, I think in one of my underrated movie series, and I'm going to mention it again just because it's one of my favorite action movies, and it's definitely one that deserves more attention, and that is Upgrade. This is one of the most creative and innovative, kind of under-the-radar action movies I've seen over the past 5 years, because this one came out and I think like 2018, something like that. But this does a really cool thing. You're kind of in a somewhat futuristic society where people are kind of like enhancing their bodies with computer technology and stuff in a somewhat cyberpunk type way. But this one, really interesting, short, easy premise of husband and wife on their way home from some work that he had been doing, get in a car accident. Some guys come up, kill his wife, and he ends up paraplegic. But he finds a scientist who says, hey, I could put this chip in your brain and you'll be able to walk again. And just stuff ensues from there. It gets more involved. There's some conspiracy behind it, all that kind of stuff. Really interesting, really entertaining. But the fight sequences are so innovative. They really make an effort to make the camera a part of the action and almost feel like the camera has been upgraded itself, just like his body. So the movement of the camera during the different action sequences is really fast, but also smooth. It really does a good job following the action in really creative ways that you probably haven't seen before. So if this is one you still have not checked out, it's definitely one of the best action movies of the past 5 or so years, and one that I highly recommend checking out. It's a really cool blend of science fiction with action and just this simple enough premise, but really entertaining watch. Finally, we have another really recent one, and that is one that I just checked out, I think a couple of months ago, if that, for the first time, and that is Wrath of Man. This is one that I heard a good bit about a year or so ago when it came out, and I definitely wanted to check it out, found it for a good deal, picked it up and watched it. Really loved it. I thought it was great. It's the longest of the ones on this list, so I'm cheating a little bit on here. This one's like just barely under 2 hours, but it is under that 2 hour mark that I kind of set. And Jason Statham is known for doing kind of like, you know, fun, entertaining, sometimes simple action movies. But this one does a really cool thing where you kind of are led to believe so much about it, but then it turns into something much more. You're kind of kept in the dark for about the first half of the movie about a lot of the more detailed aspects of the story. And then there's this reveal and you're like, okay, this changes everything. So it's really cool and really well done. It's the Guy Ritchie, which I'm not one who's well versed too much in Guy Ritchie movies, director, but that's really well done. The action's really cool. It's stylized in a very specific way. The characters are in a very specific way. There's fun, zippy dialogue, and there's some really interesting intrigue and action and mystery along the way. So another one, like I said, is popular enough, but I think deserves more attention because I didn't check this one out last year. Finally went and watched it and loved it, and I've been recommending it ever since. So that wraps up this video of some recommendations on some under the radar action thrillers under 2 hours from the past 10 years or so. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll check out some of the picks and recommendations I gave. Tried to give a good variety of different stuff when it comes to solely action, some sci-fi mixed in there, some cyberpunk, that kind of thing. So hope you enjoyed my picks and hope you'll check some of them out. Make sure to share some recommendations in the comments down below of ones that you want to recommend as well. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one.